Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and today I'm going to do something considerably different than what I normally do on this channel. I've been asked to do a comparison review between a Generation 1 toy and one of the more modern toys. Seems to be becoming all the rage now. My inspiration for doing this channel, the G.I. Joe reviewer Hooded Cobra Commander 788, started recently doing comparison reviews. I know my friend Frankie45 is about to do some comparisons herself on her doll channel, so here we are. We're going to do a comparison review for Transformers. First one that we've selected here, this one was donated to me by a friend of my brother's, a woman by the name of Anne. She was wanting to know which of these two would be more appropriate to give to her children. That I'm not sure I can fully answer, as I'm no child expert, never claimed to be, but we'll do a nice comparison all the same. We're going to look at the different versions of Hun Gurr. On the left here, we have the original Generation 1 Hun Gurr, and here on the right is the latest one done. It is, if I can grab the box without it running away on me here, get back here. It is this one right here, the Power of the Primes toy that was just recently put out. Well, let's take a good look at the two of them. As you can see, appearance-wise, they're pretty similar to each other. At least in the terms of the robot, their accessories are vastly different from each other. Now, since I haven't reviewed Hun Gurr, now would be a good time to give a little bit of background on the character. The G1 form is the leader of the Terracon subgroup. So he forms the body to Abominus. Apparently, this new one is also listed as the Terracon leader, or at least on his paperwork and such, it still lists Terracon on here. And apparently, Ripper Snapper is also available. It's also interesting to note that the other three Terracons, Cutthroat, Blot, and Sinner Twin, will also be released later this year. So maybe, hopefully, we'll be able to gather them all up. We can do a comparison review of Abominus. But until that time, let's take a look more at these two. We'll start first by looking at the Generation 1 version. As you can see, he's a pretty tall and imposing figure. You'll also notice we got the spikes running down the center of his chest for his alternate mode, which, as you can see, the other one does have something similar to that. What he's got running down the front of his chest is the tail, whereas the original Hun Gurr stored the tail on his backside. Another thing that's pretty prominent is this shield that Hun Gurr has. This, of course, is the chest shield to Abominus, but it can be plugged in to his shoulder using the similar plug like what would be found on the heads or the tabs on his component buddies. So it just plugs into either of his shoulders, and he has a shield. It doesn't go in very easily. That's its biggest drawback. And of course, Hun Gurr has this large gun, what's known as his sonic stun gun. But Hun Gurr was also famous in the G1 line for having a considerable amount of articulation. This was during the late 80s when he came out, because he was released in 1987. So he didn't have most of them did not have a lot of articulation. Hun Gurr here kind of broke the mold with that. I mean, one of the things we can do is to some degree, we can turn his head. His head can be turned all the way around with some effort. There's articulation at the shoulder, so he can move his arm Get the foot out of the way on the back, and the arm can go all the way around. He does have a joint here at the elbow, so he can move at the elbow. And as a bonus one, even though it's used more for transforming him, there is one at his wrist. And then down here we get to his legs. There is a joint at the hip, so that he can move his hips out to the side like that, and even out to the front, just like that. And he's got one here at the knee, so you can bend his knee all the way down just like that. Of course, you can bend the ankle too, but that's more for transforming than anything else. But there's all sorts of angles that his leg can be bent and twisted at in between the hip and the knee that's used for his alternate mode. So Hun Gurr has the G1 version has quite a lot of articulation. He made for a great action figure back in the day. Now we'll take a look at the new Hun Gurr. I like the fact that they at least did some attempt to imitate the style of the original. That is a nice homage to the original toy, and I'm a big fan of that. Supposedly here, the two different designs for the insignia. This one is meant to be the original normal symbol, which is kind of worn off on my sample. And then this one here on the other shoulder with the black border is kind of to be reminiscent of the heat-sensitive label that's here on the original. So it's kind of a cute homage to it. It's not the best, but it is something, so let's give them credit for that. As we said, they moved the tail here to fold down onto his front side, mainly because the back side is taken up by the chest shield, which is not removable per se. So this part I'm not a big fan of here. I mean, I would have liked him to have had the shield that he was famous for carrying. But how does he hold up for articulation? He actually does a little bit better than the original. I mean, we still got fully rotatable head right there. He can rotate the arm at the shoulder, but this time the arms can also extend outward like that from his shoulder. And he does have an elbow joint. Unfortunately, he does not have the same joint at the wrist, so he gains something, but he loses something there. On the legs, he can swing his leg up at the hip just like that. That's perfectly good. But he can also swing it out to the sides. And you can bend at the knee. And you do have the option of the ankle. But on him, because of the way his feet have been redesigned, it looks a little dumber. As for accessories, he has these two cannons here that are mounted to the side. They're labeled in the instructions and such as his prime armor. Supposedly he's set up to appear in the Power of the Primes cartoon that will be on Machinima here in May. So something we'll have to look forward to and kind of see how he's portrayed there. These apparently will also double, according to the instructions, as the feet for Abominus. So that'll be something to look forward to when they get released. And then, of course, here on the other one, we have his prime element in here. It's inserted in. When it's inserted in fully like that, the only way to get it out is to reach down here on the underside and push on this little tab to try to get him free. There we go. Let's take a look at this. This is his prime. It's listed as the Terrorcon Enigma I guess whatever that is will be explained in full when the series starts up here, so that's part of what this gimmick's all about. You have these different little guys you can plug in and power up your transformers or whatever. Let's see more of it and see what it does, see what it says it does, but this I can imagine is a part that'll get easily lost. So if you got little kids, they might lose this part more. But that's the whole thing about toys, isn't it? There's always something to get lost. Now, in a moment here, we're going to transform these two, and let's see how their alternate modes look. Alright, we've got them both in their alternate modes of some sort of two-headed dragon. Let's take a good look at them individually. We'll start, of course, with the Generation 1 version. It appears to be just a shade, about a shade smaller than the newer one. As for articulation on it, since it is a monster, can rotate the back leg here all the way there, and it does have joint at the knee and at the ankle for the back leg, so you can adjust them as you wish. The front legs, being somewhat smaller, they only rotate right at the shoulder. But the real beauty and ingenuity of it comes with his necks, since if they have the multiple joints, one at the base of the body that allows it to move up and down and to the side. There's a joint midway in the neck that allows for side-to-side movement. And then right here at the base where the colors change, he can move down and up like so. The only real downside is that he doesn't have any there in the mouth, but since he's right there at the end of the neck, it can be adjusted as well. So you get quite a fair amount of posability with this. That's what made this toy so popular back in the day, and why he's still considered something of a popular toy today on the secondary market, is just due to the fact he had the most posability of any Transformer his size. So he was quite the toy to play with back in the day, and as you can see, mine here has definitely, by the sticker wear, seen a lot of action. Now, how well does that translate over onto the new one? Well, here's the new one, folks, and right away it has some good things, but it also has some bad things to it. I mean, one of the good things is we can mount the Prime armor onto the sides of the legs, so that does give him some guns to use as well. The original didn't really have anything like that. I mean, we could mount the chest shield on the top of him, and that was about it on this mode. I mean, that wasn't used in the instruction manual, but the only way to do it is you'd have to mount it like that, and yeah, I mean, what exactly is that gonna do? I mean, it protects the robot's head, but you don't know if he's burrowed it inside the body. So it's kind of, you know, yeah, that looks stupid. But this is a slightly nice improvement. It works well. The back legs, they still rotate a bit at joint at the body, and of course midway through. And to some degree down here at the feet. The front ones, again, they only rotate right there at the body. Here's another thing that detracts from the overall side appearance. Let me get the Prime armor off this leg, and you can see it real clearly here. Is this right here. It's that chest shield bit again for making Abominus. It sticks out like a sore thumb here underneath him, and it detracts a lot overall from the appearance. I mean, you look at it here from the front, it's like he's got an extra belly or something down there. Just looks weird. Now we get back here onto the heads, and let's take a look here. I mean, we got the joint here at the base of the neck, so you can raise the leg, you can raise the thing up, or you can even look down to a certain degree, and it does fold out to the sides, no effort at all. It does bend at the midpoint, but it basically bends up or down, not side to side like on the original. You can also bend him at the neck right here, which is kind of nice, but the real beauty is right here, folks. You get to open the mouths. That was something that was missing from the original, and, you know, I like this. I kind of like this a lot, especially as the lore has claimed that the original Hun Gurr would often, while he was eating things, would often be able to regurgitate some of what he ate and spit it out in this mode as a form of a crude missile. Disgusting, yes, but hey, all's fair in love and war, right? Oh yeah, I forgot I didn't fold these out. I've only played with him a couple of times since he arrived here, and he's not staying. This one's not a permanent part of my collection, but I think I may have to change that. I may have to rethink my stance on some of these newer Transformers. Alright, that's how they look in their creature mode. We got one other mode that I want to show off to you. Let's see how they look as the combiner body part. I mean, we can't fully build Abominus because this guy's components aren't out yet. But let's put them in the body mode and see how they look. Okay, here we are. We've got them both built up into what would be the body modes for Abominus, and we can clearly see a considerable difference between the two of them. Now, I mean, let's take a look here at the G1 version. I mean, predominantly a lot of the body is hidden behind this chest shield. As you can see, Hun Gurr's legs, in this case, will attach to the heads of the two guys. That'll be his feet, and the other two guys will fit into the shoulders. The nice thing about this, though, is that he will retain, since the feet are in the legs, Abominus will gain some of the articulation that is not seen in a lot of the combiners, so that is a nice feature. Plus, since Hun Gurr's head can turn, so will Abominus's head. So that in unto itself, once we get the head on properly, that in unto itself is a nice feature. I always loved this as a kid. But we now got to look at the new one, and right away you can see the new one is built in the backward sense. These were the robot's arms down here that'll form the legs. I mean, we'll still get some articulation at the hip at least, so that'll be something. We'll have to see once the whole thing comes out. We'll have to take a look at that. I'm kind of anxious to do that, folks, to be honest with you. The chest shield folds up on this one. I mean, while I'm not happy with how it looks on the toy, this I do kind of like. It's a nice homage to the original over there. It is a very nice homage, and I do like it. The head is shaped pretty similar to the original one. It's not as bulky, since it's not done as a helmet to go over the original robot's head. This actually folds up inside the robot, so that's a clever way of doing it, and it makes the head not look quite as big. I haven't gotten many of these new Transformer toys, so naturally I'm going to have to look into some of them and do some more comparisons on this. And I like how the dragon heads are now used as his shoulders here. That gives him some pretty imposing looking shoulders here. It almost makes it a shame that the others aren't all available yet, because I'm real anxious to want to do a comparison review of Abominus. I mean, right now, the only real fault is that, as you can see here, this new one is a bit top-heavy. So, we kind of got to be careful with how we hold him up here. He's finally now standing by himself. We'll just have to see how it looks when all of them are available. Okay, my friends, one last thing I want to show off to you guys before we close out on this comparison, and that's to show off the instructions. I'd show you guys the tech specs, but the new one does not have a tech spec on the box or anything. But I just want y'all to see how the instructions were done differently. I mean, here's the originals instructions. We're not going to waste a lot of time on them. That'll come when I do a full review of Hun Gurr. As you can see here, we got some nice big pictures here to see things. And even better, we got the text up here at the top that would explain to us exactly what all we needed to do. And of course, back here on the back side, we also had tell us how to put the how to put the stickers on, excuse me. And then, of course, we have this big section here for building Abominus. Now here on the modern toy, this is what we get. Long strand of paper, and we get assorted pictures. And sometimes the black background sometimes makes it a little difficult to follow through. I would have chosen something a little bit lighter than that to put them on there. And it shows you how to, on this side, shows you how to turn the robot to dragon. And then they get a little bit here on the power of the primes and what we're supposed to do with this. You get the legalese here on the end of it, and then here on the back side, it says here that Hun Gurr can combine with any of the other deluxe, with all deluxe class power of the primes figures, so you can obviously make some interesting combiners here, but shows off Abominus. And like I said, the other three will due out later this year, so let's look forward to that. And talks a little bit here about the armor and how it's going to combine with as the feet. And then it goes into the instructions here on how to turn Hun Gurr into the chest plate, chest and head of Abominus, and that's it. Don't get a lot of text in there, and I think we kind of could use that. It would help on some of the instructions that would be a little more clarifying, and if nothing else, it would also encourage our children to read more, and that's never a bad thing. So, if there's anybody at Hasbro watching this, you should consider putting in some text instructions in there so that the kids are at least forced to read a little bit at times. A little reading never did anybody any harm. Alright, now down to my final thoughts. I kind of like what they've done with the new Hun Gurr. I mean, the original one is a classic. Hands down, there's no getting around that. The original is a classic and still stands well as one of the better examples of what they could do with the Transformers. The new one, he's not bad. He's pretty good in a lot of respects. He's not so good in some others, but some of it is kind of a give and take. I mean, my biggest complaint, again, was the fact that the chest shield of Abominus is very clearly noticeable on the new toy, and it does detract a little bit from the overall appearance. But beyond that, once you're over that little hurdle, it's not really a bad toy. I actually quite like it, and as I've stated countless times through here, I'm very impressed with how it's turned out, and I hope maybe later this year we can do a review comparing the two Abominus together. That would be something to look forward to, I think. At least it's aroused my curiosity. I want to see how the two of them look side by side. And I hope many of you will also say that you want to as well. Just drop me a line down in the comments section. And that's my first comparison review of Hun Gurr, the Generation 1 version versus the 2018 Power of the Primes version. If you like this comparison review, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. Please also consider leaving a like. Share your thoughts as well about Hun Gurr. Which version do you prefer? And what did you think of this comparison review? Because I can tell you there are more on the way. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.